Where am I?
What is up, Fleet fans, and welcome back to my channel. That's right, I'm in a new location today. I'm spending the weekend at the in-laws' house, so they let me come down to the basement and record some stuff. I appreciate it. Now, I watched Mile 22, so we are going to talk about that. If you guys don't know how my reviews work, I like to talk about the good, the bad, and then give you my score. So the last two videos on my channel are some really cool countdowns if you want to check those out. I counted down my favorite summer movies, some of the best and worst Netflix films of the year, so please check that out. But right now, we're talking Mark Wahlberg, Peter Burke. This movie has to be good, right? It just has to. And I always start out talking about the good, so I guess I have to start here. And let's start with Mark Wahlberg. He plays a character that is a different version of, say, like Ben Affleck's character in The Accountant, if you have seen that movie. He's very ticky, and he has these things that he does throughout the films. He's also very over-the-top and emotional. I guess I would also call it bipolar, but he snaps occasionally in this movie. And when he does, I have to say, he does a good job. But him and Peter Burke, their relationship, he always manages to get a good performance out of Wahlberg, so I didn't expect anything less. And Peter Burke, he does some things here that I do not like at all. And we'll talk about those in a minute, but he always brings those same elements to movies that I find consistent throughout his films, even the few movies that I do not like of his, and that's the look and the feel and the atmosphere of his films. Now, the editing and the plot, we will get to that in a minute, but the script itself, we're talking about the dialogue between the characters and what they had to say to each other. I thought that was actually pretty good. There were some times when some characters were talking on screen, I'm like, okay, all right, that was funny, or that worked, or I buy that specific relationship, even though it's not really fleshed out. John Malkovich doesn't do much, but he's good. We also have this character from The Raid. Now, here's my favorite thing about this film. You ready? It's the stunt work and the fight choreography. Even though it's kind of covered up by the editing, I'm just talking about this specifically. They casted the perfect guy to come in and take over that role, and apparently he even helped coordinate some of the stunts, and you can tell because it's all so well done. He does an incredible job, and you can tell he's doing these stunts. And I even like some of the action scenes specifically. There's one scene in like a medical type room where he takes some people out. I really loved what he was doing there. And then there's some interesting ways you kill people in this movie. Now, I'm not saying, okay, I love the blood and gore and violence. Sometimes it's really cool though, and I have to say, there were some very interesting things done here that I've never really seen before, and I always love when movies can do something different, and those elements were really cool. I just wish it wasn't covered up by, yeah, we'll get into it in just a second. Okay, we're here, we're in the bad. All right, let's talk about the editing of this film. Some of the worst. I'm standing up now, so I'm free to move. It was bad. It was literally some of the worst editing I have seen all year. I don't know what Peter Burke did. I don't even know if he's in charge of this, but whoever he got to edit this film did a piss poor job. It's just so choppy. Even down to the conversations between the characters. The camera would just go back and forth and cut and cut and cut. You would get a side profile and then a front profile, and then you would zoom into the face and then you'd cut back out. It's like, can we not just have a consistent conversation with maybe one or two cuts? This is visually just blah. It's like throwing up on screen. And the cinematography was good and the shot selection was okay, but that's covered up by the fact that you are just consistently cutting between characters and moments, and worst of all, fight scenes. The action, the really good choreography that I was just talking about was completely covered up by this shaky camera and stunt work and just overall bad, horribly filmed fight scenes. Like, come on, cameraman, can you get your stuff together? Some of the shots of the people and those long shots were great, but when it comes down to that shaky cam and the fighting, we have moved past this. It was so well done in movies like the Bourne films. It looks good and it has a good feel to it and it flows, but here they just tried to copy that, and that's like mid-2000s, man. You have to move past that. You can't capitalize on what those movies did because they did it well and you didn't. Okay, the editing was bad, but what about the plot? What about the way that the movie comes back towards the end? Well, it doesn't really tie together. It's like you have a standout scene here, oh, okay, that was good, and then you have a cool scene here towards the end, but the middle is just so choppy. The story is really not that interesting. It's something that we have seen before. Sure, the dialogue is okay, but where this story goes, and you expect everything that is going to happen towards the end because there are subtle hints telling you what's going to happen, and that's fine. I like when directors place those things in there, but you at least have to give us a third act that's going to capitalize on all of those things placed throughout the movie. But my goodness, guys, this third act in general is not very good. But that final few minutes is one of the biggest letdowns of the year. I hated the final 2 or 3 scenes in this movie. I thought it was horribly done. It didn't answer any of your questions. You're left going, What? Are you kidding me? You had all of these plot elements and plot points, and sure, sometimes you leave the audience wanting more, but it felt like we had all of this build-up and the payoff wasn't there. I also didn't really like how the story was told. I didn't like that they kept cutting back and forth to Mark Wahlberg here, going forward in time and back in time. I just wish they would have stayed more concurrent. I don't think that would have helped it because the third act was just such a letdown, but you know, it would have made it a little bit better. At the end of the day, guys, I mean, I'm not gonna say that I wasted my time in the theater because there were some cool action scenes and some elements that I liked, but those were way overshadowed by the poor quality filmmaking and the technical aspects that just bugged me so bad. I'm going to give this movie a 43%, and I hate to do that, even though there were elements that I liked. Like I said, they were just completely and utterly overshadowed by all of the bad things about it. Peter Burke, Mark Wahlberg, what are you guys doing? It felt like you just needed to push out another movie together instead of sit and think about what you're going to do next and base it on a true story that doesn't involve all of this bad editing and bad storytelling. I'm just so disappointed. I didn't like the trailers, but I thought the movie was still going to be good, and it just wasn't. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Did you like Mile 22? Sorry, I'm not in front of my green screen, but I will be back soon. But tomorrow morning, I will be doing another Netflix review from this location. You guys are the absolute best, and I will catch you very soon with another review.